Hey guys, welcome to your fourth tutorial on Objective-C programming. Some of the basics, so if you're just getting into it, you're right, you're at the right place. If you're a little bit more advanced, we'll be catching up to you as soon as possible. However, if you haven't seen kind of the precursor to this, where we're at is we're in Xcode, getting ready to launch into variables. So we're going to be going over some of the basic syntax within the variable data types and whatnot. So let's just jump into it, and we'll start from the basics here. So as you guys know, a variable is basically a placeholder, and you know that because you've been through algebra, or if you haven't, I guess you're more advanced. You're looking at programming before you've even been in algebra. So props to you. But basic algebra: x plus 7 equals 10. All right. So your basic x here is a variable. It's a placeholder for something and holding a value without actually determining it. So in this case, x equals 3. That's for you guys who haven't been through algebra yet. Alright, so in Objective-C programming, there are certain variable data types. And so if you can imagine, numbers have one kind of variable, which an integer is one that we're going to go over today. And you can declare that as int for integer, and I just wrote that out for you so you could see. But an integer is a negative or positive whole number. So this could be negative 30. It could also be 45. It could be negative 1,000. The sky's the limit as long as it's a whole number and it's negative or positive. Some of the other ones that we're going to go through: float, which is going to be your decimal places. So it's going to be 45, 69, 7, or a negative in this case, as long as it's negative or positive integer with a decimal place, you declare it as a float. Another one that we're going to go over is a car, character, get it, but car is how you declare it there, and we'll be going over that at a later date. But what we're going to mainly focus on in this tutorial is the integer. It's probably the least comprehensive because it's just whole negative and positive numbers, so it's real basic. You don't have to deal with decimal places yet. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to declare that our variable is going to be an integer, and in this case we're going to give it a name. So our integer int, our name, which we're just going to put down age, then we're going to space, put equals, and in this case I'm 24 years old, so I'm going to put it down 24. Don't forget about your semicolon. And now you're going, okay, that's great. We declared a variable of 24. What do we do with that? So now we're actually going to print that out to the screen so we can see where we're going with this. So I'm going to get rid of the squirrels. Don't need them bugging me anymore. And then I'm going to go I am, in this case, I'm just going to put a blank so I can explain this later. Years old. Alright, so if I run this right now, you're going to see it down here. It says, I am blank years old. So the big question is, how do we get the variable in here? Can I just put age? No. Can I just put like that age? No. Objective-C does something which is actually really nice. It's inserting a placeholder and then specifying what the placeholder or the variable that you want the placeholder to be is. So in this case, we're going to go %i, and I know it's %i because of this up here. We know it's an integer that we want to put in this placeholder. So the %i tells the variable where you want to inject it into your statement or your program in the future. Then what we have to do at the end of our statement here, we have to put a comma, and we have to tell the program what we want to be replacing that placeholder with. So we want to replace it with the variable age. And so what we're going to do is run that and see what we've got now. Alright, so as you can see, we've got I am 24 years old. That's perfect. So now this variable age has been injected in to our statement here and printed on the screen for us to see. Alright, so now let's move on to something a little bit more complex. let's say we want to add another variable. So let's go up here, let's declare another integer. In this case, we'll put height, and I'm just going to put 6 foot, or 6 for 6 foot. And off to our statement here, we're just going to add I am blank years old, and put in our placeholder again, I am blank foot tall. Okay, now you're saying, okay, if I've got this here for age, how do I fill in the blank with this height as another integer? Well, simple. We'll add another comma, and then we'll specify what the placeholder should fill in with. So the placeholder here is correlated to the height here, and the age is correlated here. So let's run it, make sure we got everything correct. I am 24 years old and 6 foot tall. So we've got 2 now. So now let's go one step further, and we're gonna have to reformat this. Let's make this just an X, and then we'll change this to Y, and then maybe, yeah, we'll leave the values the same. But this is what's cool, is you can actually embed equations into these variables. So we're gonna create another variable here, integer again, and we're going to call it sum. And all we're going to do is go x plus, don't forget your space, y equals. Alright, so let's go ahead and take this out. And in this case, we're just going to go %i plus, we're just going to write this out, even though it's not actually going to calculate it, plus %i equals, we're just going to write that out so you can see it doesn't actually equate, equals %i, another placeholder. So now we have 3 variables in place. We're going to change age out, we're going to swap height out for y, and the last I here that we're going to correlate to the last variable is our sum. And so again, x is correlated to the first integer here, y the second, sum the third. So let's see if we got this right. Go ahead and run it. So down here you can see 24 plus 6 equals 30. Bingo. So as you can see, not only can you place in single variables, but then you can also embed equations or different functions within a variable. So in this case, we're adding. We can simply take this and multiply. Yeah, leave it as sum. Change this here. Run that. 24 times 6 equals 144. So as you can see, there's multiple things that we can do with just integers, just numbers. Not to mention the float with decimal places and formatting and all that stuff. But here's your basics to some of the variables in Objective-C. And as we continue forward, we're going to look at, again, some of the float, the characters, even double, which is basically if a number gets too large for the float, you can use double. So there's a lot of uses for these as we move forward. This is, again, some of the basic syntax, and we'll keep going to what you guys see. If you guys experience any hang-ups, let us know, and we'll try to help you out with those. All right, peace out, guys.